How to make the avoidant feel anxious about losing you. Let's get one thing straight. If someone is avoidant in a relationship, constantly pulling away, afraid of emotional closeness, keeping you at arm's length, it's not your job to chase them. It's your job to become the person they realize they can't afford to lose. But here's the twist. You don't do that by convincing them. You do that by embodying self-worth. You show, not tell them that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. So how do you make the avoidant feel anxious about losing you? When you're dealing with someone who's emotionally avoidant, the instinct is often to give more. You think that if you just love them enough, stay patient long enough, prove your loyalty hard enough, they'll eventually feel safe enough to open up. But the reality is, overgiving doesn't bring you closer, it pushes you further away. Because for someone who already feels overwhelmed by intimacy, the more you give, the more they retreat. You think you're building trust, but you're actually building comfort for them. Comfort that says, I can do the bare minimum and still get everything. Overgiving becomes a silent negotiation where you're trying to earn love by effort. You text first every time. You rearrange your schedule to accommodate theirs. You excuse their lack of emotional investment by telling yourself they're just going through something. But what you're really doing is lowering your standards in hopes they'll eventually meet you halfway. They won't. Not when they know you'll always pick up the slack. What makes this dynamic worse is that you start losing yourself in the process. Your own needs get buried under the weight of constantly trying to keep the connection alive. You feel exhausted, anxious, and unseen. Not because you're not enough, but because you're giving too much to someone who hasn't even earned that access to your heart. It's not about punishing them. It's about protecting your energy. You need to stop giving from a place of fear. Fear of losing them, fear of being alone, fear that if you pull back, the relationship will die. If the relationship can't survive without you over dysfunctioning, then it was never stable to begin with. Instead of flooding the space with your effort, let them feel your absence. Create silence where they used to be chasing. Give them the chance to wonder. Let them decide if they care enough to move toward you. And if they don't, that tells you everything. You're not withdrawing love, you're withdrawing excess. You're moving back into balance. Because in a healthy relationship, giving is mutual. Effort is shared. And if you want the avoidant to feel the possibility of loss, they have to experience what it's like when you stop cushioning the relationship with one-sided devotion. Only then will they recognize what they've been taking for granted. Matching their energy is not about playing games. It's about emotional self-regulation. When you're involved with someone who has avoidant tendencies, they often pull back when things start to feel too close or too intense. And your instinct, especially if you're someone who craves connection, is to rush in. You call more, text more, plan more, love harder. But in doing that, you're overcompensating for the emotional space they're creating. You're filling the void they've left instead of letting them notice it. The moment you exceed their energy, you tip the balance of the relationship. It becomes unequal and, more importantly, unmotivating for them. Why would they step up if you're doing all the work? Why would they lean in if they're already being met with more love than they're giving? The truth is, people don't value what's always available and overextended. When you're the one reaching out every time, making the plans, checking in, being emotionally vulnerable while they stay guarded, they start to expect it. It becomes a pattern where you give more and they give less, not because they're bad people, but because they've never needed to give more. Matching their energy means you stop going further than they're willing to go. If they take 2 days to text you back, you don't reply in 2 minutes just to feel closer again. If they don't make time for you, you stop bending your life to make time for them. You let the silence be. You let the distance echo. And you hold your ground not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You're showing that your connection with them is not the center of your universe. You're showing that you're capable of being present when they're present and stepping back when they disappear. This doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. It means your energy becomes responsive, not reactive. You let their actions guide your pace. You move when they move, not in fear of losing them, but in alignment with reality. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is wait. Let them feel the weight of their distance. Let them feel the discomfort of space they created. That's when they realize that you're not just standing still, waiting. You're capable of walking away. When you match their energy, they're forced to either rise to your level or risk losing you entirely. And that's when things start to shift. Setting emotional standards isn't about making demands. It's about owning your worth and communicating what kind of connection you're willing to participate in. When you're dealing with someone avoidant, it's tempting to keep quiet about your needs because you fear scaring them off. You think that by staying easygoing, flexible, and endlessly patient, they'll eventually feel safe enough to open up and give you more. But in reality, hiding your standards only teaches them one thing. They can show up inconsistently, and you'll still be there. The truth is, you teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you're constantly accepting breadcrumbs of affection, rare check-ins, or emotional unavailability, you're showing them that you're okay with that level of connection, even if deep down you're not. You might tell yourself they're just scared or they need more time, but if you're suppressing your emotional needs in the hope that they'll one day change, be honest with them or with yourself. Setting emotional standards means clearly expressing what makes you feel seen, secure, and respected, not with ultimatums or pressure, but with calm certainty. It sounds like, I'm looking for something consistent. I want to feel emotionally connected. If that's not where you are, that's okay, but I won't settle for less. You're not trying to convince them. You're giving them the choice to either meet you there or let you go. That's powerful because it places the responsibility back where it belongs, on them. And here's the key, your standards are only as strong as your willingness to walk away when they're not met. If you say what you want but stay anyway when nothing changes, your words lose meaning. Boundaries without action are just empty statements. You don't have to be aggressive or dramatic about it. Quiet confidence is far more effective. Say what you need, step back if it's not respected. Let your absence communicate what your presence once gave them. Avoidants, in particular, respect people who hold their ground. They're often more drawn to partners who don't chase, who aren't afraid of distance, who know what they want and won't settle for half love. That kind of energy doesn't repel, it magnetizes. When you set clear emotional standards and stick to them, you're no longer begging for connection. You're creating space for the right kind of connection to show up and forcing the avoidant to either evolve or exit. Being unshakably independent is one of the most attractive and unsettling things you can be to someone with avoidant tendencies. Why? Because the avoidant person relies on the comfort of knowing you're emotionally invested, perhaps even dependent. They find safety in the imbalance, their emotional distance matched by your constant availability. So when you show that your life is full, rich, and complete without them, it challenges the dynamic. It creates a shift. Suddenly, they're not in control of the closeness anymore. You are. When your world doesn't revolve around them, it becomes clear that you're not anxiously waiting for their approval, their message, or their commitment. You're busy. You're fulfilled. You've built a life that excites you with or without their involvement. And that's not just about having hobbies for the sake of appearing independent. It's about actually living in a way where their presence is a bonus, not a requirement. This doesn't mean pretending not to care. It means genuinely investing in yourself, in your friendships, your goals, your health, your passions. When you do that, you stop making the relationship the center of your emotional world. And that's powerful. Because when someone senses that you're okay without them, they start to question their role in your life. They start to wonder if they're giving enough. They start to feel, maybe for the first time, that you could actually walk away. The avoidant person is often most comfortable when they're being chased. But when the chase stops, when you stop showing up first, stop initiating all contact, stop molding yourself to be easier to love, they begin to feel the space. They may not say it out loud, but they feel it. That quiet shift in energy speaks louder than any conversation. Your independence becomes the trigger for their uncertainty. What if they're moving on? What if someone else is noticing them the way I haven't? You don't need to broadcast this change. Just live it. Be less available. Be harder to access. Not as a punishment, but because you're genuinely out there building something bigger than this dynamic. Your confidence, your ability to walk into a room without needing anyone's validation, that's the energy that changes everything. And if the avoidant values you, they'll feel it. Because when you show that your happiness isn't tied to their behavior, you become the one person they can't easily replace. You don't make someone see your value by explaining it. You make them feel it by the way you carry yourself. Too often, when you're emotionally invested in someone, especially someone who's avoidant, you fall into the trap of trying to convince them you're worth staying for. You over-explain your intentions, justify your feelings, and constantly reassure them that you're safe, loyal, and different. But the more you talk about your value, the less powerful it becomes. Value is not argued, it's embodied. People feel your worth when you demonstrate it through your actions, not your words. When you continue showing up for yourself even when they pull away, when you don't beg for closeness or overassumption to fix the connection, that's when they notice. It's when you stop chasing and start choosing yourself that your presence begins to feel like a privilege, not a given. Most importantly, you stop participating in dynamics that devalue you. That's where your strength lives. You don't need to announce that you deserve more. You just stop entertaining less. You don't need to say, I won't tolerate this. You show it by removing your energy from anything that makes you feel small. This shift doesn't have to be dramatic. In fact, the quietest boundaries are often the most powerful. You reply less when the conversation becomes one-sided. You stop initiating when the effort isn't mutual. You don't chase clarity. You let their actions speak. When you step back like that, something changes. The avoidant, who's been used to your emotional presence as a given, starts to notice its absence. What they once took for granted now feels distant. That distance creates space, not just for them to think, but for you to realign. You get to reconnect with your self-worth without being defined by someone else's uncertainty. You don't need to become cold or detached. This isn't about pretending not to care. It's about proving that your care has limits, that you're not emotionally available to someone who only shows up halfway, that loving you comes with a standard, and the most powerful thing, you do all of this with grace. You don't fight for your value to be seen. You simply live in a way that makes ignoring it a risk. When you stop convincing and start aligning your actions with your self-respect, they'll either step up or realize they've lost someone irreplaceable. So here's what it comes down to. You don't make the avoidant anxious about losing you by playing mind games or chasing them harder. You do it by stepping into your power, holding your standards, and living like someone who knows their value doesn't decrease based on someone else's inability to see it. The avoidant feels the shift not when you try to control them, but when you start controlling your own behavior, when you stop overgiving, match their energy instead of exceeding it, set clear emotional standards, build a full life without them at the center, and prove your value not with words, but through how you show up for yourself. When you embody this mindset, you flip the script. Suddenly, they're the one wondering where you went, what you're thinking, and whether someone else will recognize what they didn't appreciate. That's not manipulation, that's magnetism. That's what happens when you stop settling and start standing tall in who you are. And if they don't step up, that's not your loss. It's your freedom. Freedom to attract someone who doesn't make you earn love, but offers it freely, fully, and consistently. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing your growth over your fear. And most importantly, thank you for remembering that you don't have to chase someone to be worth staying for. You already are. Take care and keep choosing you.